great theologian Karl Barth, and yes, I'm starting with Karl Barth, loved to teach that preachers should preach with the Bible in one hand and the newspaper in the other. Because if you only talk about what happened thousands of years ago, it doesn't make much difference for modern life. And if you only talk about things that are going on today without grounding them in the great sweep of religious history, then we're adrift. Sometimes for preachers, the Bible and the newspaper are a joyful combination. And then there's this week. This is a week that has been troubling to many. A week that has seen tears. A week that has heard laments. A week that has seen anger and hurt. And so that's the newspaper. And so we look back to the Scripture to help us make sense of things. We find the story of Queen Esther. Esther, by the way, just in case you want to amaze a friend at a cocktail party, is the only book in the entire Bible that doesn't mention God. Think about that one for a second. It's the story of a Jewish young woman who is taken as a wife for the Persian queen, for the Persian king. And over time, she listens into things. Her uncle Mordecai keeps his ear peeled, and he starts to hear the palace intrigues and finds out about a plot by Haman to have the Jewish people killed. And so Esther has this meeting. By the way, none of this is in today's little snippet, but it's part of the big story. Esther has this meeting with her uncle Mordecai, and Mordecai tells her what's afoot. And Esther, the queen, isn't sure what she should do about it, or even what she could do about it. But her uncle presses her and says, perhaps it's for just a time as this that you have become queen. And so Esther goes back and at a big dinner party asks her husband, the king, for something. And that's where today's story picks up. When the king, sitting there in front of everybody, says, yes, my love, anything you like up to half my kingdom, it's yours. Isn't that sweet? But Esther, knowing what's at stake, says, you know, I'd really like you not to kill me. And the king blinks at her and says, what? He said, yeah, and I really prefer that you not kill all of my relatives and friends. And the king is aghast. He doesn't know anything about what's going on. And then she says, for you see, Haman here has been whispering in your ear about how my people should be killed. And look, he's already built a 50-foot gallows in front of his house to hang my uncle from. And he's just waiting for you to say the word so that we can all be killed. It's not exactly warm, fuzzy stuff. But the king, realizing the intrigues that have been going on around him, says, it'll be as you say. In fact, Haman, you know that gallows you built? That's for you. I don't love that part of the story. I always like redemption. I always like hope. But that's trying to put a 21st century spin on an ancient story. A story of rescue and a story of God's vengeance. A story of what happens when people plot evil against others. It's an important story. Because even those who were popular, who were in the inner circle of things, when things go bad, there's judgment. I remember as a child turning on the TV and watching the Fat Albert cartoons. I remember later on watching The Cosby Show, listening to comedy routines, many of which I still love. The Trip to the Dentist. But then we started hearing about Bill Cosby's behavior off the stage, away from the cameras. And this week, he was sentenced to something between 3 and 10 years in prison for drugging and sexually assaulting a woman. Part of me mourns that, because happiness that I had as a younger person, I can't have without that sense of betrayal. But maybe that's the point, isn't it? It's betrayal for which he was convicted and sentenced. The feeling I have of being a victim is nothing compared to the women that he violated over the years. So maybe I should get over my feeling of betrayal and simply say, yes, this is justice. This is how it should be. Nobody should be above the law. And I do. That was, what, Tuesday? And then on Thursday, the United States Senate had their confab as they listened to a nominee for the Supreme Court accused of being untoward with at least one woman. Hearing Dr. Blasey Ford as she offered her story of victimization. It's been a hard week. A week of sorrow, a week of disgust, a week of pain. Over the last couple days, I have had multiple conversations with victims of sexual assault, with friends and family members, with people that I interact with in my professional capacity as well. Even last night, I saw a YouTube video that was posted by Pastor Cindy talking about her multiple sexual assaults, even within the church. Yes, from parishioners. Yeah. It's a problem that we wish would go away. It's a problem that we want to just push aside. It's a problem that sometimes we put on our political blinders and say, well, you know, that wasn't our person, that was your person. And it happens on both sides of the aisle. But we put on our blinders, we deny things, we insist that, oh no, it doesn't matter, it was a long time ago anyway. Don't we? At least that's what we see playing out again and again. I checked out some statistics this week from the Connecticut Alliance to End Sexual Violence. And these are things that I knew on some level. But did you know that 1 in 4 women and 1 in 6 men will be sexually assaulted within their lifetime. That 1 in 6 women and 1 in 33 men will experience attempted or completed rape. And that those statistics are notably higher for lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender folks. That sexual assault is a crime that's the least reported. And in fact, a 2000 study from the Bureau of Justice Statistics found that only 28% of victims report to police. It's a problem. And it's a problem that we need to address. This week, as I was speaking with people, they knew that I couldn't change things, that I couldn't reach back into the past and undo the damage that was done. But what I could do was sit with them, listen, hear their stories, believe them, share the tears and the anger. Sometimes that's all we can do. Other times we can do more. But just listening, just hearing, just believing makes a difference. Of course, there are the folk who don't want to speak up, who have their injuries buried so deeply that they can't speak them even aloud themselves. And I'm not saying that anyone should ever be forced to tell their story. But other folks find healing in it. Other folks find that it makes a difference as perpetrators are brought to justice, as the story matters and changes things. And so if you are someone who has been victimized, and I know that statistically there are several of you in this room, if you are someone who has been a victim, know that this is a safe place for you, where you can tell your truth, where you can speak what happens to you and be believed and respected, that you can come to me at any point and talk. I will be there for you. If you are among those who have not been a victim, you are fortunate. But I invite you to stand with those who have. Those who gather here, our family, our friends, our loved ones, the people who sit in the pew across the church from us. And be a loving, supporting presence. Help this be the kind of place where we can build healing and wholeness, where we can speak a word of justice for others. This has been a hard week. And there will be more hard weeks. We know that. But when we look back to Scripture, we find a word of hope. A word of hope that the psalmist spoke, saying, if God had not been for us, how could we have gone through all of these things behind? If God had not been for us, how could we stand now? We know that God is for us. We know that God has been with us through so many things. And that makes a difference. We know that like Queen Esther, when we speak the truth, when we call those who have been victimizers to account, change can happen. Perhaps it is for just such a time as this that God has placed you here. May God bless you and all of us as together we do what God calls us to do, as we share love and peace and justice. Amen.
Amen.